Hey, hi, Michael here. We are doing number 16 today. Remember, it was in 14 that the spies came back, and a lot of people were pretty unhappy to find out that they weren't going to make it to the promised land. We're going to see more of that dissension today. It just seems like it goes on and on and on. And today we're starting with Korah, Dathan, and Abiram, sons of Eliab. Korah was the son of Yitzhar. So let's go ahead. We're going to go through this. I want you to understand who the characters are, because understanding who the characters are gives us deeper understanding into what's actually happening. It says, now Korah, the Ben Yitzhar, son of Kahat, son of Levi, Ben Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, Ben Eliab, and Un, Ben Palit. I'm not sure who Palit is. It says sons of Reuben. Apparently he's a son of Reuben. I'm not sure where he comes from. Let's talk about these people. Here's Korah. It says in Exodus 6, I'm reading on the right now. It says, the sons of Kohath were Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. This is the Yitzhar that is Korah's father. Remember that Moses's and Aaron's and Miriam's father is Amram. So Amram and Yitzhar are brothers, which makes Moses and Korah cousins. Interesting enough, in this verse also, look what it says. It says, Yocheved, his father's, let me just read from here. And the years of the life of Amram, remember Amram, son of Kohath, was Levi's son. When Levi came into Egypt, he came with Kohath. Remember, he had three sons, Kohath, Merari, and who's the other one? Kohath, Merari, I'm forgetting offhand. One of the Levi seed. Anyway, it says he lived 137 years, and died. This is Amram, son of Yitzhar. No, son of Kohath. Oh, here it is, Gershom. Kohath and Gershom and Merari. They're the sons of Levi. My point is, if we have the opinion that we were in Egypt for 430 years, which most people do, they don't understand we were only in Egypt for 210 years. If we were in Egypt for 430 years, how do you use up all this time? Amram was 130 years old when he died. He had Moses. Moses is about 82 right now, maybe. You see, you're not going to get 430 years out of it. So you got to think differently. We've got to get deeper understandings of how long we actually were in Egypt and what that 430 years is all about. Now, I've talked about it many times in other classes, so you'll just have to search that out. This Dathan, Dathan, and Abiram are sons of Eliab. Eliab is a son of Palu. Look what it says here. I don't know why this is giving me such difficulty trying to, or maybe this thing's in the way. That's what it is. Yeah, okay, good. Here it says, Reuben was the firstborn of Israel. The eldest son. Here's the tribe of Israel. He was the firstborn of Reuben, firstborn of all of Israel's seed. Remember, he sinned and slept with Bilhah after Rachel died. And Jacob took the firstborn status, which he would have been, Reuben would have been the high priest, the king, and the firstborn. He would have got the double portion had he not slept with Bilhah. But when he did, Jacob gave Levi the priestly portion. He gave Judah the kingship, and the double portion, firstborn status, went to Joseph. Interesting. So from Leah's firstborn to Rachel's firstborn. And that's where we get the double portion, which is Ephraim and Manasseh, and why Jacob took Manasseh and Ephraim as his own sons, where we now have the 12 sons again. We're back up to 12. Remember, Levi isn't one of the 12 tribes. It's kind of a separate tribe. They're the priestly tribe. Well, all part of a bigger story. I say that because it's the sons of Reuben, Dathan, Dathan, and Abiram that are the problems here. Let's go back to our notes. Where are we here? Study notes. There we are. It says Reuben was the firstborn of Israel. Reuben's seed, not children, Reuben's seed were Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. It is Palu here who had Eliab. And Eliab is where Dathan and Abiram come from. It says, these are the Dathan and the Abiram, representatives of the congregation who contended against Moses and Aaron in the company of Korah. Interesting enough, at the end of this, it says, Korah's seed did not die. Korah's seed, it doesn't say children, it says Korah's seed did not die. I think, though, that Dathan and Abiram's seed may have died. Well, let's keep looking. Kind of get to know the characters here. It says, and they rose up. I'm reading on the right here. And they rose up, and men, Enoshim, from Israel's seed. You know, it doesn't say Nashim. It says Enoshim, mortal men. Remember how I talk about often if they're going to use good men, righteous men, they will often use Ish and Enoshim. Oh, I guess this is Enoshim. Well, let's look at this. From Israel's seed, from Israel's seed, 250 of the assembly's princes or leaders, It's nasi, exalted ones. Selected by appointment. They were chosen as men of honor. Honored men. This is enoshi. Honored, each one an honored man. They're using it as a singular, honored man. So it's the same word. 58, 82, 58, 582, 582. Yeah, they're both the same words. Let me make that bigger so we can see it better. There we go. All right. But we too have men who are in high positions, authority, respected among teachers, among those who say they are Jehovah's people. But they don't know him and his eternal and unchanging ways. There's men out there. Test the fruits. I hope that you see that I bear fruits. I'm a Passover keeper. Very few men who are teachers would even understand what an Ezra man is. And if you don't understand what the Ezra man is, and you're still talking in terms of the children of Israel, you got a lot to learn. I'm challenging you to think about that as you're listening to some of these people. It says they gathered together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, look at what they're saying, you take too much upon yourselves. For the assembly is the word they're using here. The Adad is holy. Every one of them. Don't you know? We're all holy. And Jehovah is among them. This is what they're saying to Moses and Aaron. We're no different than you, Moses and Aaron. And isn't it interesting that it would come from Korah, Moses' cousin? I sense some envy, perhaps, that Amram's seed was chosen over Yitzhar's seed to draw nigh to Yehovah. He thinks he should have that same ability. After all, he's as close to Levi as Moses is. But that's not what Yehovah chose, was it? Will they never learn? Remember, here they are. We're challenging, what does it say? They gathered together against Moses and Aaron and said, you take too much upon yourselves. Isn't this what Miriam did? Jehovah speaks through us too, she said. Oh yeah, here it is. Has he not spoken through us also? Numbers 12. Went through it just a few weeks ago. Well, after she said that, no, I take it back. We're going to see Moses and Aaron fall on their face a number of times. This is going to be one of those times that they're going to do that. So let me finish what we were saying. Every one of them, and Jehovah is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above Jehovah's assemblage? They used assembly here, Adah. Here they used kahal, different word, assemblage. Why do you exalt yourself above Jehovah's assemblage? Again, they're questioning his authority. So Moses heard it So when Moses heard it, he fell on his face. Isn't this what happened last week when they said, let us select leaders? Well, here it is right here. Was that last week? 2 weeks ago. So they said to one another, let us select leaders and return to Egypt. Moses heard it, Aaron heard it, fell on their faces, praying for Israel's seed. What are you thinking? So when Moses heard it, he fell on his face. Here it is. We're going to see 3 times. This is 16:4, 16. This is 16:4 we're in right now. 16:22 is 16:45. I'm going to fall on their face 3 times today, hoping to save Israel's seed. Verse 5. And he spoke to Korah and all the company, saying, tomorrow morning, Jehovah will show who is his and who is holy. He just said, every one of us is holy, don't you know? Now Moses is saying, tomorrow morning, Jehovah will show who is his and who is holy, and he will cause him to come near to him. The one whom he chooses, he will cause to come near to him. So we're all going to get our censers. Do this. Take your censers, Korah, and all your company. These are the 250 men that are with him. You know, Korah, Dathan and Abiram don't seem to be here right now. Interesting enough. Moses is going to call him later on. He says, do this. Take censers, Korah, and all your company. Put fire in them and put incense in them both. Put incense in them before Jehovah tomorrow. And it shall be that the man, each, doesn't say Adam, it says, doesn't say Enoshim, it says Ha'ish, whom Jehovah chooses, is the Holy One. You take too much upon yourselves, Levi's seed. Like I said, the man, sons of Levi. They add to you Levi's seed. Yeah, Korah is a Kohathite. He's part of Levi's seed. But not all Levi's seed are sons of Aaron. Maybe I should say not all sons of Aaron are, all sons of Aaron are Levi's seed. But not all Levi's seed are sons of Aaron. He chose Aaron and his seed to be the priests. Korah wants to be the priest. But Aaron and his sons went through 7-day sanctification process and were anointed and consecrated to be able to handle the holy things of Jehovah. And when Nadab, the firstborn, and Abihu brought strange fire, they were killed by Jehovah. Remember? This was just months ago. What are we? We're in the tabernacle was raised in the first month of the second year. They were consecrated 7 days before that in December, from December 22nd until the 29th or wherever it was. And the first day of the month was their 8th day. First day of the month, they became priests at that point. Did anybody realize that? Something's happening that's making Aaron and his seed special. I said Korah is a Kohathite, but not a son of Aaron. Korah's dad and Aaron's dad were brothers. Aaron's dads were brothers. So Korah and Moses and Aaron are cousins. Yes. I guess this is kind of a repeat of what we talked about a little earlier. Yeah, what about the incense? Did they have access to the special incense that we use to bring to Yehovah? Or were they just throwing some of their own incense on it? Where did they get the fire? See, all these things come into effect. Yeah, whoever makes any of it, talking about the incense, this is the recipe, if you will, for making the incense, which is going to be holy to Jehovah. Nobody gets to make that incense except Levi's seed, or Aaron's seed. Let's continue. It says, then Moses said to Korah, hear now, Levi's seed. That's what it says, Levi's seed, B'nai Levi, Levi's seed. Is it a small thing to you that Israel's Elohi, that's what it says, Israel's Elohi, has separated you from the congregation, from Israel's assembly, to bring you near to himself, to do the work of Yehovah's residence, Mishkan Yehovah. Interesting, Mishkan Yehovah. You know, usually it says Ohel Moed when we're talking about the tent of meeting. We're talking about the tabernacle. But here it's saying Mishkan Yehovah, Yehovah's residence, if you will. To do the work of Yehovah's residence and to stand before Ha'adah, the congregation, to serve them. Is it a small thing? Isn't that important, he's saying? You want it all? This is a good thing that you got. He continues. And that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brethren, Levi's seed with you. And you are seeking the priesthood also. See, this is what it is. He wants to be the priests. He wasn't consecrated to do it. And you are seeking the priesthood also? But this is the true problem. Korah wants to do something that is against Jehovah's plan. He is overstepping his boundaries. This is what Miriam did in Numbers 12. Look what Moses, Jehovah's mouth, says in the next verse. We're going to see today that Moses is Jehovah's shliach. He speaks for Yehovah. Yehovah speaks through him, but he speaks for Yehovah also, sometimes on his own. Look here, next verse. Therefore you and all your company are gathered together against Yehovah. And what is Aaron that you complain against him? What is Aaron that you complain against him? What is he saying? Is Aaron different? He's just chosen. And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram ben Eliav, but they said, we will not come up. So he's talking to Aaron or to Korah. And now Moses is saying, bring up Dathan and Abiram. They're part of this. Where are they? It said, we will not come up. But they continue. Look what it says. Is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness. What's he saying? This is Dathan, and Abiram, sons of Reuben. Sons of Reuben. Is that what I said, Reuben? Sons of Reuben. Saying that you brought us out of the land flowing with milk and honey. What are they calling the land flowing with milk and honey? Egypt! Where was I? Is it a small thing? Well, here we are at 13. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness? And that thou keep acting like a prince over us? They're jealous. Are they, as Reuben's seed, feeling like they are the heads of the family? How does Reuben's seed fit into this? Do they not know the history of what happened with Reuben and why he was demoted? Look at, they're calling Egypt the land flowing with milk and honey. Oh my goodness. Now therefore, moreover, thou hast not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey. You said you would. And isn't that exactly what he was doing? When the spies came back and gave a bad report, and the people refused to listen to the spies who gave the good report? Who's to blame, Moses? Or their evil hearts? Nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. No, they're not going to get it. Remember, they are going to die in the wilderness. This is what it's all coming back to. They're angry because they did not obey Jehovah, and now they're stuck in the wilderness and they're going to die here. And they don't like it. But we said last week, or maybe the week before, that it's probably the most wicked that are going to die in the early years of the 40 years in the wilderness. Jehovah is kind of trimming the vine, if you will. So the righteous men will be the ones who live the longest in the wilderness and stay with their families. That's my guess. Make additional men for Israel's seed in the wilderness. He says, will thou put out the eyes of these men? I'm not even sure what he's talking about, putting out the eyes of these men, the 250 men. Guess that's who he's talking about. Then they repeat, we will not come up. Moses called them up. They said, we will not come up. Twice they said it. Now Moses is going to go to them. Then Moses was very angry and said to Jehovah, do not respect their offering. Their korban is what they're using here, I believe. No, their minka. Their minka. Do not respect their minka. What's he talking about? I think he's talking about the rising smoke, the incense that they're bringing from their censers. Don't respect it. He says, I have not taken a donkey from them, a donkey, nor have I hurt one of them. In other words, I've done no wrong. I've done nothing that they should be mad at me about. Look, he says, I have not even taken an unclean animal from them. That's a donkey. That's an unclean animal. I think he's making a point. He didn't say sheep, goat. He said a donkey. And Moses said to Korah, tomorrow thou and all thy company be present before Yehovah, you and they, as well as Aaron. Let each take his censer and put incense in it. And each of you bring his censer before Yehovah. 250 censers, both you, y'all, and Aaron, each with his censer. But isn't this what Nadab and Abihu did? Then Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, each took his censer and put fire in it, put incense in it, and offered profane fire before Yehovah, which he had not commanded them. Well, in a sense, Moses is saying, go ahead and do it. See what happens. So every man took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and stood at the door of the tent of Ohel. It says every man. Look at this. It's so every man. There, Ish stood at the door and laid incense on it and stood at the door of the tent of meeting, the Ohel Moed. There's the Ohel Moed is the meeting with Aaron and Moses. Usually that's what they're calling the Mishkan, Jehovah's residence, the tent of meeting. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them. Here's Korah. But Korah is playing on the emotions of the disgruntled Israelites who now do not get to go into the land which flows with milk and honey to gain support and press for new leadership. I put, bad idea. This is what he's doing. And Korah gathered all the congregation, all the assembly, that's the tent of meeting. All the assembly against them at the tent of meeting. Then the glory of Yehovah appeared to all the congregation. Here's Korah gathering against them. Who's them? Moses and Aaron. Now, Yehovah is going to appear. The glory of Yehovah appeared to all the congregation. What is that, a pillar of smoke? And Yehovah spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from this congregation, this Adah, that I may consume them in a moment. But these 250 men are all respective leaders of the assembly, which Yehovah is getting ready to take out in the eyes of all Israel's seed who are there. Wow! Yehovah's done some pretty great things for Israel. But boy, when you cross Yehovah, you better beware. Separate yourselves from his congregation. Look what they do. They fall on their face again. They want the best for Israel's seed. They want them to survive and prosper, live in health. But they can't do that because they can't get the doggone Egypt out of these people. They got Egypt stuck in them. Then they fell on their faces and said, here's what they said, El, the spirit of all flesh's Elohi. El, is the spirit of all flesh is Elohi. You take away their spirit, they die and return to the earth. Jehovah's spirit and their spirit are two different spirits. Don't confuse them. Moses is pleading for the assembly's deliverance. Yes, he is. Look what he says. Because of the man's, the Ish, it says, because of one man, what did it say? One man, shall one man sin, and you be angry with all the Adah? There it is, the Adah, the congregation. Because of the man's sin, will your wrath be moved against all the Adah? You know, I think that Moses and Aaron falling on their faces, and then Moses praying this prayer, will you be angry against all the Adah? All the Adah didn't do it. But look what Jehovah says. So Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying in response, speak to the assembly, saying, get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. You know what it really says? Get away from the Mishkan of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Here it is right here, the Mishkan. Let's see if I can make that bigger so you can see it. There we go. The Mishkan. It's not Ohel. I think that's interesting. I would have thought it would be Ohel. But I think it's interesting that they use Mishkan. It's the residence. It's where Korah, Dathan, and Abiram and their families live. Yehovah's Mishkan is the tabernacle. That's where he lives when he dwells with us. I put, now anyone that does not do what Moses says will be killed. So here, Jehovah's given him out. Draw away from the tents, the Mishkan of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Israel, don't go near them. Then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram. Look what it is. He's going to them. They wouldn't come to him. He's going to them. Then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. Now, you know, when I first read this, I thought, could this be the 250 men that are following him? I don't think it is. I think it's the true elders of Israel, good and righteous men who are being obedient to Aaron and Moses' authority. They followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, depart from the wicked man's tents. These wicked men's tents. These wicked men's tents is what it says. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sin. These are wicked men's tents. They're not acknowledging the authority of Moses and Aaron. How many people in the world do not ignore the authority of Moses and Aaron? They don't want to listen to what he has to say. Some are very good Christians, don't you know? But they won't learn righteousness because they don't care about what Moses has to say. So they got away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents. Finally, they're going to come out with their women, not wives, women, their sons, and their tough. their children, Toph, there it is, Toph, their sons, Benim, their Nashim, their women. And Moses said, by this you shall know that Yehovah has sent me, shalakni, sent me. Remember, the shalak is the one who speaks for Yehovah. What he says, Yehovah does. When Abraham sent Shalak, his eldest servant. What was his eldest servant's name? I had it in my mind just a second ago. Eliezer. To find a bride, he sent him to Haran to find a bride for his son Isaac. And he said things that Moses didn't, or that Abraham didn't tell him to say, but he's speaking for Abraham. Say it. This is what Moses is doing. He's speaking for Yehovah. By this you shall know that Yehovah has sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of my own will. But Yehovah didn't tell Moses to say or do anything, but Moses speaks for him. If these men die naturally, like all men, or if they are visited by a common fate of all men, then Yehovah has not sent me. But this next demonstration is about who sent whom. Did Yehovah tell Moses about the ground opening up, or did Moses say this on his own? We will learn from this demonstration. Yes, we will. But if Yehovah creates a new thing, the earth opens its mouth and swallows them up with all belonging to them, and they go down alive into the pit, then you will understand that these men have rejected Yehovah. You reject Moses, you reject Yehovah. This is what they did. Did they say, we don't believe in Yehovah? No, they rejected Moses' authority. Now it came to pass, as he finished speaking all these words, that the ground split apart under them, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households and all the men with Korah and all their goods. It says all the men. Look at it. It says all the Adam. It doesn't say all the Ish. Isn't that interesting? These men are living in the flesh, not in the spirit. All ha-Adam, all the Adam must be his young sons and servants is all I can think it is. I put this as a surgical strike. Can you imagine? Remember the tent? Where is Reuben in our tent? Why do you have that out? It seemed like Reuben was with, let's just take a look at this. Let me see if I can find it. It shouldn't take that long. Sabbath class. So I need to find my tent or my. Oh, maybe it's this one. Yeah, here's what I'm looking for. Let's see where Reuben's tent is. Reuben is right here. So we've got hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands probably of tents. Remember, there's 600,000 men, 600,003, 550 men in Israel at the last count. They're dropping quickly these days. There's Reuben. And among Reuben's tent, we're going to find look, there's the Kohathites. Were the Kohathites and the Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram and Korah, were their tents close together? Because Jehovah's going to take out just those tents. Like I said, it's a surgical strike. Oh my goodness. Let me finish. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households. And all the men, all the Adam, with Korah, with all their goods. So I think it's servants, young men in his house. His eldest sons, grown sons, were in other tents. I don't think they were affected because it said Korah's seed did not die. Numbers 26. And Korah's seed did not die. Korah's seed, there it is right there. Korah's seed did not die. So there's still people from Korah that lived. It says, and Shalom, this is Chronicles, and Shalom, the son of Korah, the son of Aviasaph, the son of Korah, and his brethren from the father's house, the Kohathites, were in charge of the work of the service, gatekeepers of the tabernacle. Their father had been a keeper of the entrance of the camp of Yehovah. So when a man brought in his offerings, they had a checkpoint. No ladies are going to get past Korah's seed because they're guarding the gate. They have authority. They're important. They just don't have the same authority that Aaron has. So they and all those with them went down alive into the pit. The earth closed over them, and they perished among the assembly. Then all Israel, who were around them, fled at their cry. For they said, lest the earth swallow us up also. It says, and fire came down from Yehovah and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense, just like it happened with Nadab and Abihu. I put Yehovah is not done yet. Now the 250 princes of Israel's seed die, just like Nadab and Abihu. At this point in time, all the spies have died except Joshua and Caleb. Then some of the men who disobeyed Yehovah by going to fight the Amalekites. Remember, we saw that last week or the week before. And the Canaanites in the mountains, they died. Now Korah, Dathan, and Abiram and their families have died, and now the 250 men are about to die. These are all the first and the worst to die in the next 40 years. Who's next? Well, we've got another 14,700 that are going to be next yet in this chapter. Oh my goodness. Now Yehovah says, then Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, tell Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, to pick up the censers out of the blaze. There's a blaze. For they are holy and scatter. The censers are holy. He's saying not Aaron and his son. The censers are holy, for they are holy, and scatter the fire some distance away. The censers of these men who sinned against their own soul. Look at that. These men sinned against their own soul. They brought it on themselves. Let them be made into hammered plates as a covering for the altar. They're going to melt all the censers down and make a big plate to cover the altar, because they presented them before Jehovah. Therefore they are holy, and they shall be a sign. They, I guess, must be the censers. They shall be a sign to Israel's seed when they see the covering on the altar, I suppose. So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned up had presented, and they hammered out as a covering for the altar. This is the bronze altar, of course, to be a memorial. Let me just do this. The censers which were meant to be used by the priest to bring a sweet aroma to Jehovah were melted down and used to cover the bronze altar that sends the sweet aroma to Jehovah. To be a memorial, to be a reminder, Zikron, to be a reminder for Israel's seed to heed. Look what it says, that no outsider. Can you imagine, or can you guess what no outsider says? It's the word Zor, that no Zor. You know, normally when you think of the Zor, you're thinking about people from outside of Israel's seed. But here, we're looking at Zor in the context of coming before Yehovah. Only Aaron's seed gets to come before Yehovah. That no Zor man. I bet you it's no Zor ish. Let's look at that for just a second. That no Zor. No ish. No Zor ish. Come before Aaron's seed. This is Zara, Aaron's seed, Aaron's fruit. Come before Aaron's seed to burn incense before Yehovah, that he not become as Korah and his assembly when Yehovah spoke to him by the hand of Moses. Yeah, it's a reminder to Israel's seed. Israel's seed. Remember, they're the Ezra men, firstborn of Yehovah. Almost done. Bit yet. Now, look at this. Here we have offer incense before Yehovah, that he might not become like Korah and his companions, just as Yehovah had said to him before through Moses. On the next day, the Adah of Israel's seed. Israel's seed's Adah is what we're talking about. The assembly of Israel's seed. It says all the assembly of Israel's seed, doesn't it? Wow. All the assembly of Israel's seed. This is everybody. They're coming against Moses now. Look what it says. And the next day, all Israel's seed's assembly complained against Moses and Aaron, saying, you have killed Yehovah's people. I put, hello, what's wrong with these men? When will they get the hint? They're again challenging the authority of Moses and Aaron, and ultimately the authority of Yehovah, who gave them that authority. Now it happened when the congregation had gathered against Moses and Aaron, that they turned toward the tabernacle of meeting, the tent of tent of Moed, Ohel Moed. And suddenly a cloud covered it. There it is. The cloud is the glory of Yehovah appeared. A cloud covered it, and the glory of Yehovah appeared. Oh, we're in big trouble. But they both are one and the same. Yeah, they are. The cloud and the glory of Yehovah. And Moses and Aaron came before the Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, get away from the people, from among the congregation, the assembly, that I may consume them in a moment. And look at this. They're falling on their faces once again. And they fell on their faces. So Moses said to Aaron, take a censer. This is Moses taking it upon himself. Yehovah did not tell him to do this. Yehovah's getting ready to wipe him out. Moses is trying to stop it. So Moses said to Aaron, take a censer and put fire in it from the altar. Put incense on it. Now here we're taking good incense. He's doing everything right. And take it quickly to the assembly to make a cover for them. For wrath has gone out from Yehovah. The plague has begun. He wants to stop the plague. And Aaron took it as Moses commanded and ran into the midst of the assembly. Remember, what did Yehovah say? Aaron shall be as a prophet. You shall be Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aaron shall be thy prophet. Yeah. Kind of has the same feel, doesn't it? Remember, Aaron calls Moses Adonai. And Aaron took it as Moses commanded and ran into the midst of the assembly. Now here they're calling it an assembly. I wonder if that's also a but it is. And already the plague had begun among the people. So he put in the incense and made atonement, a covering for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, so the plague was stopped. He stopped the plague because of the quick thinking of Moses. Now, those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died in the Korah incidents. Well, I've been keeping tabs. Here's another 14,700 men who are dying. Bringing our total, do I have our total here or do I have it in the next verse? Maybe I have it in the next verse. I think it was, I want to say 16,000. I mean, see, it's growing rapidly. Who wants to be next? Besides those who died in the Korah incident. Oh, I guess I don't have the grand total. So Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the Ohel Moed, for the plague had stopped. Well, maybe I'm thinking about next week, because I've already spent some time on next week's chapter. We're going to be talking about the rod of Aaron. Again, another sign that Yehovah is giving Israel in his goodness, I think, to show them who is under his immediate authority. We'll talk about the rod of Aaron next week. I think you'll find it interesting. Also, we're going to spend some time next week going through Yasher. Not a whole lot, but a few verses in Yasher I think you'll find interesting. All right. Well, you guys, thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time, and be safe.